I guess, it's time to talk about LIV Golf, baby.
Yeah.
Trump Bedminster, a captain, or at least someone who plays like a captain, comes away with a victory. Henrik Stenson, after being stripped of his captaincy and leaving the PGA Tour and European Tour to go play in LIV Golf, wins the third LIV Golf event at Bedminster by 2 shots over Matt Wolff and DJ. And then he was quoted afterwards saying that was a captain-like performance. Yeah, really twist the knife.
Yeah, he should have said, but then he was like, well, I think he said something along the lines like, oh, well, I'm not really like the captain of this team. And I get what he was doing, but he kind of I feel like he kind of fucked the joke a little bit. But
either way,
it
was,
got
to steer into that. If you're gonna call him out, man, come on, we want drama.
Yeah, no, and that's why I was like, what a great way to just kind of stir the pot for everybody involved. Unfortunately, I was actually excited to watch this event, and I didn't get to watch it, obviously, because I was at the Rocket Mortgage all 5 days. So
tough week for us.
I think that's a fair excuse to, not watch much of this. I did, however, on Thursday.
Watch the Pro-Am. Or some of the Pro-Am.
No, on Friday evening when I got back, I watched the replay of the first round. So I did at least watch the first round of that and watch some of the golf. Obviously, they're getting bigger and bigger names, so it becomes a bit more appealing. From that standpoint, but it seemed like to me a lot of the drama was coming off of the course again with the LIV event, just from the Pro-Am, Donald Trump, and granted whatever your politics are.
There was a lot of amateurs, like high profile AMs who played in the event.
Yeah,
there was some artists who performed.
Nelly.
It just and the Chainsmokers were supposed to. They actually got sick, so they weren't able to. But they said they're going to perform it in a LIV Golf event in the future. Whether or not they bailed because of different reasons.
Yes.
But either way, I'm with you. From what it looked like, it seemed like it was very successful. Now they're going to push out their own agenda and everything, and I'm not saying it was bad. So before anyone comes yelling at us that we're not anti, and I think I'd have fun. Again, the problem was the team event was off by 8 shots. It's really not that close coming down the end. But I kind of ride Henrik Stenson. First event after being stripped, coming out and just winning. And I'm sure he was like, let's fucking go. Like, this is what I want to do. It's kind of like a middle finger to people not letting him play.
Yeah, he played with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, right?
Exactly.
Like, he had added motivation going into this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he started with 64 in round 1, then followed up with 2 69s. One thing I did find funny was for the Pro-Am, they did tee times off 1 in 10, but for the actual event they do shotgun.
Yeah.
Look, I think they need next year, because they announced they're doing it 2023. It's gonna be 14 events. I think they need to get rid of the shotgun. You with this amount of players, you can send them both off 1 in 10 to where they're almost right at the same time. But the whole shotgun thing is fucking stupid.
Yeah, and I know people have yelled at us before. It's like that's right. I would have liked to come home after the Rocket Mortgage or something and flip it on. I enjoy the 8 hours of golf that you get on some days. And I get you won't get that because there's only 48 players in the field. But, there's a chance that you can catch a little bit of it. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I can just sit down in 4 hours and watch it. But I was like,
you can do that when the leaders tee off.
Right, exactly. That's kind of my thought as well, too. So,
and I'm just saying split it. 24 and 24 off 1 in 10.
Yeah.
That is 8 different tee times for threesomes. You can get them out, and there's not going to be any crossover issues with that. Their tee times are going to be, if you put them within 10 minutes, an hour, 20 apart.
Right.
I think it's stupid now. Let's just get back to 1 through 10. I get that was the whole thing they wanted to do. I'd love for them to get rid of it.
Yeah, well, and then you get a little bit more added things too. Like the team event could be pretty close coming down the stretch, where you get guys out there, rooting on, like we've seen in past Ryder Cups and events along those lines. So, honestly, I didn't
even think about that. That's a great point.
Yeah,
there would be a fun aspect to the team sitting there watching them come in instead of I got to finish my 15th hole or the 15th hole today, so I can that would be a lot of fun to watch.
Right, yeah. And
Pat Perez, who sucks, but is earning bags because he's on the 4 aces. He's there cheering DJ and Patty Reed on to help win so he can make more money.
Right, yeah. I mean, at least it'd add to, a contributing factor for him, seeing that he likes to shoot 80. But, to me, again, we're not here to talk the politics. We're leaving that.
We're talking golf.
We're to the politicians. obviously with the more and more names going over there, it's the events are more enticing to watch. And, you know, again, we saw a decent field at the Rocket Mortgage Classic that, you know, I thought was a pretty good field. Some people may argue like only 6 of the top 30 players in the world were at the event. But again, we've acknowledged that we like the smaller players, so you get to see some of those guys in this event too. But to me, like selfishly, it's actually kind of fun knowing you got two different type of events going on each weekend with a solid field.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, the next event is basically first week of September. I think it's Labor Day weekend, actually, in Boston. So we got about a month until then. I'm sure there's going to be some news. There's no event overhanging the FedEx Cup playoffs, which is interesting.
Very interesting.
And you enlightened me on something potentially. 4 Aces have won back-to-back team championships, though, and that's the team that's like, they're sick. I mean, it's Patty Reed, Taylor Gooch, DJ, and then Pat Perez. Like, it's a strong team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised by that by any means, and it's Pat Perez probably looks like the smartest man for going to join that because
he's just collecting cash.
Yeah, he's just literally collecting money over money. So, and, you know, it's David Faraday being on that broadcast definitely made a world of difference. I think, in my opinion, watching again, I only watched the first round. I was planning on watching more, but David Faraday added, and a lot of the, you know, longtime golf writers were sitting there saying like there's an added legitimacy there to their broadcast now that, you know, it's worth watching.
Yeah, no, exactly. So we'll see what happens. Charles Barkley came out and said he's not doing it.
Correct.
Well.
I have a feeling that TNT offered him a pretty good deal.
Probably, and he said, "Hey, I wish him all the best. I'm gonna finish my career at TNT."
Yeah.
So good for him. I mean, he's a basketball guy. Like he likes golf, but he's a basketball guy. Like it makes more sense.
Yeah. So that tells me too, especially if LIV Golf didn't offer him any type of deal, that they're trying to be more not just entertainment, like golf legitimate.
Yeah.
So
we don't know.
Yeah, well, I wasn't surprised by that. And Faraday ended up, he was not an on-course reporter. He's in the booth with those guys. So that's kind of what I thought would happen. That's maybe, I think, a shift he was looking for in his career. I will say that going back to Bubba, I think Bubba is one of the first former PGA Tour players to kind of come out and say, you know, without the PGA Tour, I would not be in the position where I'm being able to be at today.
Yeah,
so
he kind of didn't like MF flick him off on his way out the door.
Correct. Basically. And I think that's what some of the players were saying is that, you know, it's, you know, kind of some of us were getting the middle finger just because of, you know, them switching up and bad mouthing the tour. And you know, I wasn't sure what you'd get out of Bubba, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he came out, and I think Bubba did it the right way. If there's a way you're going to do it, I think he probably did it the right way, whether people want to hear that or not.
Yeah.